Ensign Boimler's career aspirations lead to peril while Mariner clashes with Commander Ransom on a tropical pleasure planet in Star Trek Lower Decks' 3rd season 2nd episode, The Least Dangerous Game. Before I go any further, please note this review may contain spoilers for Lower Decks, specifically The Least Dangerous Game, so if you've not yet seen the episode, this might not be the video for you. Let's warp into this! On a mission to repair a lift in orbit of a tropical planet, the impulsive Mariner struggles under the supervision of Commander Ransom, but the two must work together when Rutherford and Engineer Billups are threatened on the planet's surface. Meanwhile, back on the Cerritos, Boimler attempts to accelerate his path to the captain's chair by saying yes to everything, a decision the young ensign might soon regret. Following last week's epic season premiere, Lower Decks gets back to basics with a fun and appropriately on-brand low-stakes adventure. Lesser shows would probably buckle under the weight of The Least Dangerous Game's disparate but intricately connected plot threads, but writer Garrick Bernard is a dab hand at this kind of thing, a previous episode of his being the dense and chaotic season 1 episode Veritas. Dense and chaotic obviously comes naturally to Bernard, as this episode feels light and economic despite an awful lot of stuff going on. But does it all work? Most of it does. Boimler's adventure, or misadventure as is more appropriate for the hapless ensign, was probably my favourite aspect of the episode, with a story evocative of Jim Carrey's 2008 comedy Yes Man, with a pinch of Curb Your Enthusiasm's escalating sitcom being the primary source of the episode's more effective humour. The sights and sounds of Shax's Bajoran dirge choir and Cranch, Nolan North's mimosa-drinking, selfie-taking, predator-like alien were jokes that got legitimate belly laughs from me, a reaction Lower Decks has long struggled to consistently achieve. Rutherford and Billups' shenanigans on the tropical planet were also a lot of fun, with delightful nods to the original series' The Apple and the Next Generation's Justice, two of Star Trek's more famous away missions gone horribly wrong. As is to be expected with Lower Decks at this point, the episode is once again littered with fan service, but this week they get the balance just right. Of course, there's a lot for fans to love, my favourite being the return of J.G. Hertzler's Martok, albeit with a noticeable underlying Ferengi influence, but this time these winks supplement the story rather than overpower it. The conflict between Mariner and Ransom on the orbital platform is where most of my criticism lies, although there are reasons to be optimistic regarding this new dynamic. While what we got here was a fun subversion of away team responsibilities, this was ground already largely covered back in season 1 with Temporal Edict, an episode that also happened to find its resolution in Ransom's magnificently gleaming abs. Maybe it's just a case of one step back to leap 2 steps forward, but a lot of Mariner's attitude and actions feel repetitive to the point where it's starting to get old and run the risk of losing any comedic value. As I said, there is reason to be optimistic, however, as it does feel by the end the show intends to have Mariner learn from her experiences and actually turn the corner and embrace the Starfleet hero status she's actively worked to avoid. Let's hope this is indeed the case, unless the show's deliberately doing this as some sort of genius long-term play on Trek's episodic nature where nothing ever changes. Who knows? The Least Dangerous Game is another mostly satisfying episode of Lower Decks, a packed but breezy 25 minutes that delivers on laughs, again mostly at the expense of our favourite raisin-haired ensign. Repetition is starting to creep into the show, however, something evidenced by Mariner and Ransom's B-plot, a somewhat frustrating aspect when there are underserved characters like Tendi and Dr. Teana who are just there crying out for some love. These are tiny issues though, and Lower Decks largely continues to prove itself as a fun, irreverent show and a legitimate contender for the best Star Trek of the modern era. I'm giving The Least Dangerous Game 3.5 stars out of 5. But what did you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? How would you rate it? Let me know in the comments below, and please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Star Trek content like this coming soon. Until next time, I'm the TrekLad. Live long and prosper.